Welcome back to another episode of Joyful Mate. I'm your host, the Joyful Journey Mentor, Anthony Hartcher, and I'm taking you on this book writing adventure. Yes, I'm in the process of writing a book. It's called Feeling Broken, The Path to Self-Love and Healing. Yes, it's all about bringing you back together. It's about the integration of self back to a whole, authentic self. The most loving person that you can be on this earth is, and the best love you can have is obviously the love for self. It is the start of all relationships. So embrace that yourself as the most loving self and get into that authentic relationship with self through this book. It's called Feeling Broken, The Path to Self-Love and Healing. Let's get started. We're on chapter 4. If you haven't caught up, yes, I'm rolling through the chapters through these podcasts that I'm sharing. I'm into chapter 4. I can't believe it. It's going so fast. And what is most interesting is whether this will end up as chapter 4. So I'm not really fast. I'm just all in this flow state. So bear with me. We are talking in chapter 4 on the law of conservation and the myth of missing pieces. Yes, this chapter will explore that nothing is lost. Nothing is missing. It essentially transformed. And we're going to talk about this law of conservation and how the world is in a constant state of flux and change. And yes, it's always transforming, but ultimately at the highest level, it is completely conserved and there's nothing missing. We are always entangled in this web that I call the human consciousness, or this web of life, which expands human consciousness and it encompasses the universe. So what are we talking about here? So let's get into, first of all, me introducing this subject a bit better. I'm trying to bring some structure to what I'm sharing. So in the illusion of loss. So there may be, this is what you're feeling. There's feeling that there's something missing. There's something, you're not quite enough, right? And it is a feeling. It's a feeling that I've had growing up too. It's a feeling that I experienced in early adulthood, is that I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of love. But I'm here to tell you, you are. You are absolutely worthy of love. No matter what you have or haven't done, you are worthy of love. And I'm going to explain that in this chapter. And so this is a feeling of low self-worth, and it's now realizing that there's nothing missing in you. You are completely whole as you are in this present state of reading the book, or at this present time of reading the book. You are completely whole. It's a perception that there's something missing. And I'll explain what it is shortly. And it all generally comes from this whole thing of comparing and contrasting and putting other people up and thinking that what they have is better than you. But in actual fact, you have what they have, but it's in another form. And we need to honor that form. We need to love the form it's in and appreciate the form it's in. But it's within you. Everything's within you. You have everything within, and there's nothing missing. It's just a perception. And it's not actuality. It's your reality at this point in time, and that is how you filter the world, through your current lens. It's how you see things, but the world's been reflected back to you based on how you see it. So we need to see it as it is whole, and not that is something is missing. So we are led to believe this something is missing through, it can stem from our upbringing. It can stem from someone criticizing us and us taking that on board and really feeling ashamed or guilty for something we haven't done. And so we can feel that there's an element that's, and in that perception, that time of that moment of perception, we feel broken. We feel shattered when we are feeling guilty or ashamed of, we just didn't do it how they wanted us to do it. We probably did it the best that we could at that point in time, but we just couldn't meet their expectations. And yes, they certainly had unrealistic expectations on you, and you may have put unrealistic expectations on yourself. In that instance, yes, we could take an example, is that For example, you didn't I don't know, set the table the way in which your parents wanted you to set your table. And your parents were in a bad mood at the time and they came down on you in a big way and saying that, you're hopeless. I've taught, showed you how to do this over and over again and you just don't get it. You are hopeless. You're dumb. And that can feel like if you're in a state that's not ready to receive that information, then you can feel really knocked around. So but in essence, we just haven't done it the way our parents wanted us to do. We may have forgotten something, but we did something, right? But we perceive that we're not good enough in that moment. We perceive that we cannot live up to our parents' expectations, and therefore we're not worthy of love, not worthy of receiving love. And then we can take that sort of baggage into further on into life, and then look for more instances where I'm not worthy of love, where you perceive or someone's told you that you've let them down, and therefore you take that on board. That's another instance, another event, another bit of evidence that I am not worthy of love. And so therefore you'll keep making yourself small and feel that you are essentially shattered, like there's parts of you dissolving and you're getting smaller and smaller and you're getting insignificant in this world or this fabric of life. And it's essentially your self-worth, it's your perception of self-worth that is getting smaller, and you feel fragmented. You feel that you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this trait, you can't do that. And so you've got all these pieces that are all around you that you don't have within you. It's a judgment from the other person that you don't do it their way and you don't do it how they do it. And of course you can never do it their way because you're not them. So let go of that. But yeah, so it's all this that we carry with us through various parts of childhood, teenage years, early adulthood, and through life, is that we constantly think through various events that we're not enough, or we let someone down and we're ashamed of how we let that person down because they let us know that we let them down. But ultimately, and as I shared in the previous chapter, you were doing what's most important to you, and you do it in your authentic way. They're just not honoring that authentic way of how you do things, and they're not truly connecting with who you are. They only really like you if you do it this way, their way. So is, as I shared in the previous episode, it's not really true friendship. It's conditional. It's got conditions around this relationship. So now we get into this element of, I'm in pieces, I'm broken, I can't do this, I'm not good at doing this, I can't, because all these people have told you can't do that, you're not good at that, you can't do that and all this, and they're telling you what you're good at, and generally it's a projection of what they want you to do, and that's a missing piece in them. It can sometimes be a missing piece in your parents, where your parents are projecting what they have carried through their life and they want you to fill that missing piece. So again, we can do what our parents want us to do to make them feel more fulfilled and make them feel not broken. But in actual fact, they're not broken either. And I want to educate you so that you don't pass this on to your children, or if you're not having children, onto your followers, your people, so that you can lift your people out of this paradigm that there is something missing. So let's get into the first law of thermodynamics. Yes, I have a chemical engineering background and I studied thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics states that nothing can be created or destroyed, but only transformed from one form to another. And I'm talking in respect to energy and matter. So energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. For example, energy contained within food, you're transforming it in that stored potential within the food and utilizing that for life and for your output. Okay. And so it's just transferred from in that form of the apple into something that's useful for you to fulfill that authentic expression of you. So that's why you eat the apple, right? So so it's the law of conservation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, but transformed from one form to another. Same with the and this goes to like us in essentially when we die, we just leave the human experience, but our matter is still conserved and our spirit or our energy still conserved. It's not missing. It just goes from being within the human form to really an unlimited expression. So you're everywhere. You become everywhere. You go back to the many, and I guess pieces then come back to the one. And so you then find yourself, like, it's really interesting when you really think at this in a deep level, is that like your matter, so your physical being, dissolves into dirt, and that dirt then nourishes grass that animals eat, and then humans eat the animal, and so you then become part of someone else through this process. You become part of the animal, you become part of the human that consumes the meat. And yeah, it's just really fascinating. And then you think about your energy, your spirit within you. It is then unboundless. It's not bound within your body. It's got an unboundless expression, and so it's everywhere. And this is why people can tap into you, because they have had a human interaction with you, and as their human life continues, your human life has evolved, and but you still have a presence in their existence. And there's elements of things that you said to them that inspire them during hardships. And so you're still with them. You're still entangled with them. And yes, I've gone a bit off topic, but I really wanted to share this concept because this is coming up in another chapter, is this entanglement with everyone, and that nothing's ever lost. It's really part of this transformation, but it's tied in with entanglement, quantum entanglement. So let's get back to where I was at. I got to reel myself in because I get really excited about talking about certain concepts. And so we're talking about this law of conservation. So your energy and matter are always conserved. And although they may not, they can appear not so, but at the highest level, yes, they are. At the level of the universe, they are 100% conserved, except in terms of your conscious awareness and the way the way in which you filter the world, you may not see it. And I'm helping you expand that filter that we've spoken about in previous chapters to really, it's expanding your conscious awareness, broadening your filter, expanding your filter, so that you can ultimately see the world as it is, see people as they are, and to see you as whole. That's where we're getting to in this book. We're going on a journey to get there, and I'm taking you on this journey of transformation. So we live in a life of transformation. So nothing's truly lost. It's just moved to a different form. Your energy, your spirit within you doesn't dissolve and disintegrate and is lost when you die. It goes to a different form. It's out of your confines of your human presence. It's now boundless and limitless, and you have a much greater impact. Well, again, there's no reason why you don't have that impact now. Again, nothing's missing. It's the same like with mass. It's just transformed. So we get resources and we transform them into different things, but it's the same. It can be very similar ingredients, but we're making it into different things, and that happens with all matter. So, and then matter and energy are intertwined, but ultimately at the highest level it is conserved. It may appear missing in terms of the way you're seeing the world in this at the present of reading this book. It may appear missing, but what I'm wanting to do is take you on a journey in this chapter to see the transformation, to broaden that horizon so that you can actually see the new transformation of that form, but it's not lost. So where are we going now? I need to collect my thoughts. Allow me some time to collect my thoughts to guide you. Where are we going? We are going. So now with transformation, like let's take an example. So when you're observing other people and doing this compare and contrast, as I shared in a previous chapter, you can see what's in them. If you can see it in them, it's actually within you. You're either just not recognizing it to the same degree that they have it. So it's not equanimity. When you can see it as equal with the other person, you see them as equal. And what's happening is you're putting them above you because of your lower self-worth, and it appears that they do it so much better, or their form is so much better, but you're just not honoring it within you. So what you'll see in others is within you, because otherwise you wouldn't observe it. It's just that you're not seeing it to the same degree as it is within you compared to them. So we need to help level you up in this process. So and this is both things that you consider positive or beneficial traits, and even the traits, like, so ultimately wholeness will come in seeing the things that you don't like in another person, but owning it in yourself, so that you own it to the same degree that they do it. And when that happens, you feel equal and at one and connected with that person. But you're also connecting the pieces of yourself that are fragmented currently. You're bringing them together to form the whole you. And so if you're observing something in someone else, it's within you. You just got to see it to the same degree as they do it. Let's take an example. Let's take an example that you're looking up to someone for their success in their career, right? So you're really thinking, wow, they're, achieving great accolades, lots of praise and validation for the work they're doing. However, you don't feel that same success. So the thing that you're judging in them that's also within you is success, but you're not seeing it in the form it's in within you. So you see it in there, they're getting it in career success. But how you want to find that, like in the previous chapter, we talked about values. So, the values that you articulated and found within you that are important to you. So the things that you like doing, that you're completely mindful and, totally present and energetic when you're doing it. You love talking about it. You love spending your money on it. So what you want to do is look at what's important to you. So family, for example. So you're seeing success in their career, but the form of your success is in the area that you value most, because that's where you're spending your time and energy. That's what's improving and getting better. And so what you need to recognize is the form that's within you under the banner of success is family. You are achieving wonderful things with your family in terms of unification and teamwork and communication, working as one, togetherness. This person that you're admiring and putting up on a pedestal and is achieving it in careers, they've got, leading a team of people towards one goal of oneness, and they're getting accolades and praise. But the form that you're achieving it in is in the area that you value most. And in this case, it's the family. And it's recognizing, hey, that's where I'm spending my time and energy. That's where the success of trait is going to lie. And it's going to continue to flourish in that area that you value most. That person will continue to have a successful career because they've got a higher value on career than what you do. But there's nothing wrong or right about that. It's just who they are and what spins their wheels. What gets them out of bed is that they're living by their values, and it's you recognizing that they're different. But that's their beautiful addition to the world, is that they value career, and ultimately by them valuing your career, you inadvertently benefit, because they're doing wonderful things for that organization. You may be buying the products and service from that organization, or of someone that is that's benefiting them. And so we're all having a wonderful contribution. You're leading your family, and your family thriving as a result of your leadership and the dedication you put in towards your family. And that's the form that it's appearing in. So nothing's missing. Success is in your life. You are just not honoring the form it's in. And so it's time to find it and then appreciate it and think, would I compromise my family success for career success? And then if you think that way, then what you'll realize is thinking, no, I'd much rather the family success. I'd hate a dysfunctional family, but I'm okay having a bit dysfunctional career, right? Because it's not as high value. It's not a high priority. Therefore, you put less work and effort into it. And wherever you're putting your time and energy is going to flourish. And wherever you're not is going to not flourish. It's going to become a bit disordered. But you've got to be comfortable with that. And therefore, you want to delegate that area or get someone else to do that in order to ensure that everything is supporting you to the level that you need to be supported. Like, so for example, you might have married someone or formed a partnership with someone that has a high value on career, so that they do the career side of things. They do their authentic expression of self. They're getting praise and accolades and going great guns and thriving in that space. They're providing some money so that you can spend time doing what you value most. And it's recognizing that as a whole, as a collective, there's nothing missing, because the area that you don't value, they're picking up. And the area that they've got a less of a value on, that you're picking up. And so you don't want to be judging one another for the differences and saying, you actually want to see respect and honor each other for what you value, and see how it helps each other as a collective, as a team, as opposed to seeing it as different, and that they should also have the same value on family. Because if they did, then they wouldn't have the career success, and then you wouldn't be able to do what you value most, because you would have to work harder in order to support the family. But as a team, as a collective, at a bigger level, everything's balanced, isn't it? And see, this is the interesting thing about, like, we generally form a relationship with someone in the areas that we don't have a high value, but we see the synergy subconsciously. We might not see it at the time. We sort of come together and look at all the things that we have in common, but it's the areas of difference that really help us thrive. And we need to see the relationship as a collectiveness, as a whole, as a unit, as opposed to breaking it down into parts and thinking, well, why don't they spend as much time with the family as what I do, and they're not a good co-parent or not a good parent because they don't spend as much time with the kids as what I do. Well, if they did, then their career wouldn't be flourishing. They wouldn't be getting paid as much. You wouldn't be able to spend as much time with what you value most, which is the family. And so it's complementary, and we need to see it as synergistic, as opposed to a problem with them. They don't value family like I value family. Well, it wouldn't work otherwise, would it? So the way in which society really has a synergistic and a growth and expansive, thriving way is where all of us be ourselves, and the best version of self. We do our best work, and that's the best way in which we can contribute to the fabric of society. And then the areas that we don't like, someone else values that really highly, and they fill that gap. And so it's really, as a collective, nothing is missing. It may appear that within you may think it's missing, but it's in a different form. Again, we need to be mindful that what you're judging in someone else is within you, but it's in the form that you value more. And if you think there's a deficiency in you, it's most likely in the form that you don't value. But that isn't really missing. It's within you. You just don't have a high value on it. And if you've got someone else looking after that, then it's complete. It's whole. It's conserved. There's nothing missing. We're one together as a collective. And ultimately, even at a singular level, at your personal level, everything that you wish and hope for is already within you. You're just not recognizing the form it's in. It's the same as the things that you don't like about other people. They're also within you, and we need to recognize that they're within us and see how it serves, as opposed to judging it and seeing it as a disgrace. We need to look for how it's serving and benefiting society, because everything has a plus and a minus. It is completely conserved. At the highest level, it's neutral and conserved. And so there is a counterbalance to everything. And we need to see that. And everything's entangled. So all the complementary opposites are entangled amongst one another. And so, like, something that you can think is a truth is already a lie. We realize that later down the track when we get a higher level of consciousness that it wasn't a total truth. It was a partial truth. At the time, you thought it was an absolute truth. And you will go through life and thinking, this is true and this is right. And then you expand your conscious awareness and realize, yeah, there was elements of it that was right, but there was partial incorrectness or not so truth. And so it's a constant transformation. Like, science is evolving. It's changing every day as we more get this greater conscious awareness and understanding of the universe. And so that's constantly evolving. Our personal awareness is constantly evolving, and we interpret things differently based on our lens that we're seeing the world at that point in time. And that's changing based on your openness and your ability to want to grow. And so this is in a constant state of flux. And, you know, the rights and the wrongs are entangled together. And again, based on who's perceiving it, who's judging it. But ultimately, you need to be comfortable that at any point in time that you're right and wrong, no matter what you're doing, right? And there's a positive and negative to what you're doing. And there's a consequence and a benefit of what you're doing. But not realizing that they're separate. It's when we try to separate things and break them into parts, thinking I'm right, they're wrong, or I'm wrong, they're right, is where we feel fragmented. But there's, as you know, with anything in terms of two parties that have had an argument, a disagreement, there's elements of right and wrong on both sides. And we can come together when we both understand that and we're willing to be transparent about that. And we can grow together as a result of that argument, as opposed to thinking or labeling arguments as bad. Arguments are basically seeing things differently, right? But all arguments are helping you expand your lens, helping you expand how you see the world, because if you're open, then you're wanting it to see it from their perspective, which is expanding the way in which you see things. And so that person is helping you to grow and helping you to have a more expansive consciousness if you're willing and open to seeing it. Otherwise, what can happen is if we're shut down and just thinking we're always right and they're wrong, then we don't expand our lens and we constantly run up against the same challenges and have the same battles and have the same arguments. So if you're having the same argument with your partner or your loved ones or your family or whatever, it's because, look at yourself, you're unwilling to see it from their perspective and see where they're coming from. You don't need them to see your perspective, but if you can see their perspective, then you can see the entanglement that you can grow. And as a result of not seeing it as a massive problem, it doesn't become a problem anymore. It only becomes a problem when you make it a problem, when you don't see the whole for what it is, the positive and negative, the disadvantage, advantage. It's always there. We just need to expand and be open to seeing the whole. And it's a growth. It's constantly a growth. It's constantly an exercise that we need to apply to everyday life. Whenever we're feeling emotional, we need to ask ourselves, I'm seeing an imbalanced perspective. I'm seeing that it's tilted this way that the negatives are stacked up and I can't see the positives. So you need to ask yourself the question is to how is it benefiting you, or how is it helping you grow? How is it helping you to develop by looking and letting go of your self-righteousness to be open enough to growing and expanding? Because when we're willing to be wrong and willing to unlearn, that's when we grow. When we're not, we don't. We become stuck. And so if you want this wholeness and experience wholeness of life, we need to be willing to let go. We need to be willing to unlearn. We need to be willing to be wrong. And that's where the growth is, because we're going to a new level. We're exploring a new lens, and we're seeing the world from a different lens. And you can connect more in your relationships when you start to see it from their perspective and understand how they see the world. And that will broaden your horizons as to how to see the world. And then you realize the oneness, the connectedness. You actually see the connectedness because you see it from their perspective, you understand their perspective, and so therefore you develop a stronger bond, a stronger point, and another point of connection. You once saw it as a difference or something that you disagree on, but now you can see the agreement amongst the disagreement, okay? Because you've expanded your consciousness, and therefore you feel more connected with them because you can see it from their perspective. And so this is the transformation that you're going on. You're transforming how you see the world through expanding your filter, expanding your consciousness by stepping into understanding other people better. So rather than just thinking I'm right, you're wrong, vice versa, whatever it is thinking, okay, maybe I'm wrong, and thinking, okay, I could be wrong. I'm going to explore this better. I'm going to dig deeper and better understand them and see how they see that they're right and I'm wrong. And therefore, if I can explore that, I've got an expanded consciousness and an expansion connected point with them, another connection point with them, a deeper connection point with them. And I feel more whole. I feel more at one with them. I feel more at one with myself, because I've let go of some baggage that was holding me back, limiting beliefs. This is labeled in self-help as limiting beliefs, okay? And a limiting belief is just not being open to relearning and open to thinking that maybe what you know is not so right or not so truthful. And there's an element of misinformation, disinformation, and untruths. And we all have that on our journey, and we'll continually run into that until we discover the truth at that point in time, but realizing in another point in time that becomes a not so truth, or you expand your consciousness or understanding on that. But you are where you are, but it's this constant strive to feel more connectedness, to feel more at one with self, and to feel more connected with everyone and everything. And it's really just allowing yourself to grow and to look expansive and think, if I'm thinking I'm right and they're wrong, I'm closing myself down. I'm actually shutting down the relationship in thinking that way. And you only need to work on yourself. You don't need to work on the other person, because they're entangled with you. The energy between you two changes and it shifts their energy. And so you go on a journey together without you having to change them. So you don't need to change anyone in this process. You just need to work on yourself and work on expanding your consciousness, expanding your lens to feel more connected and to feel the togetherness. It's already there. Your lens is stopping you, and the limiting beliefs are creating the pieces. But this process is bringing the pieces back together. So in terms of really embracing this concept, what you want to look at is what's charging you up at this point in time in terms of what's what's the bee in your bonnet? What's the thing that's really disturbing you and making you cranky and when you keep seeing this behavior? So what you want to do is look at the behavior. It's playing the ball. It's playing the behavior. It's not really that person. It's just what they're exhibiting and how you're perceiving it. It's just a behavior. It's the judgment that you're thinking is bad about that behavior. So what you want to do is look at the behavior, the actual action that you're perceiving. And then you want to take that action and look at when you've exhibited the same action, the same behavior. And ultimately towards them, because then you're creating more equanimity, more equalness with them. So look at when you've done it to them. And then once you can see that, oh, yeah, I do it, I definitely do it. But then you want to get it to a point where you say, yes, I do it as much as they do it. That's where you want to get to the realization. And then, okay, you've owned it. Once you've owned that you do that just as much as them, then you want to look at the benefits of doing that behavior. It's not all negative. It's just that society's judged it as negative, or someone's judged it. Your parents have judged it, or someone that you once looked up to has judged it and told you that it's bad. And so therefore you've hardwired it into your brain, assigned a negative valence to it that is bad. If anyone does that, it's bad. And it's not that black and white. As I said, everything comes with its counterbalance. So you're judging it as bad, but there's elements that how it serves as well. And so you want to look at the benefits, how it benefits. If you're ashamed with yourself, look at how it benefits you when you do that behavior. If it's shame towards others, look at how it benefits them, to dissolve that shame, to see it as it is. Yes, it's got consequences to it, but it's got advantages of doing it as well. And that's the motive of doing it, because you, at that point in time, you weighed up more advantages than disadvantages. Hence, it drove the motive to do it. But then you become aware over time that it had consequences. And that's what you're aware of now. And now you're beating yourself up for it. But it was always there. The consequences were always there. You just weren't conscious of it at the time of doing it. And so what this will broaden your consciousness so you're more aware of your behaviors and the pros and cons of doing that behavior. It's not that you won't never do that behavior again. It's just that you're more aware of the consequences of doing it, or the advantages of doing it if you think it's a negative behavior. So this is a real mind-opening exercise, and this was brought to my conscious awareness through Dr. John Demartini. So thank you, Dr. John Demartini, for bringing this to my conscious awareness and teaching me this principle, because it's been profound in my life. It's had a profound impact on my relationships and the way in which I interact with the world. So I'm very grateful for Dr. John Demartini making me conscious of this. And now I'm applying this on a regular basis. So this is constant work. It's constant work that you'll need to do in order to feel integrated. And again, it's a constant work to get that integration, to feel more whole. Because even when you're collecting yourself and bringing yourself together, there'll be times that you feel a bit disconnected or a bit incomplete. And it's just that you're now ready to go to that next level in terms of where you're at. And so it's constant growth and constant and never-ending growth and improvement. So see this as a journey. Don't see this as, once I finish reading this book, I'll be complete. Once I finish reading this book, I'll know everything. No, absolutely. This is the beginning. This beginning is just sowing the seed. You need to feed or nurture the seed and allow it to grow and grow within, and constantly apply it and apply the thinking and question it as well. So it is going to raise questions, and I want you to question what I'm sharing here, because the more you question it, the better you develop an understanding. And you may also develop an evolved thinking of it, take it to another level, and and take your version of it and help others with a more evolved take of it, or a better way of saying it, or disseminating it so that people understanding. And again, it's sharing the principles that you can build on and work on that can help you feel connected, feel at one, and really help you move forward. But it's not just learning the theory. You've got to apply the theory. You've got to put it into practice. And it's when you put it into practice, you develop a deeper understanding of it. And then you want to help others with it as well, because it will help them move forward in life. It's something you can pass on to your children, your grandchildren. It's such a useful tool to realize that nothing is missing, that everything's within you, good and bad, and it's whole as one. It's completely balanced and conserved, and you're completely whole. Nothing is missing. It's just perceptions at the time that you have that something is missing. And again, the reason why we have these missing perceptions is to allow the evolution. We're constantly growing and expanding our consciousness. Always. It's never complete, because we just run into the next problem. We run into the next limiting belief that we have. And that's our next work in progress. And so I'm still working on the completeness of self. But as I go along, I'm being the best authentic version at this point in time I can be. And I'm living life in my best authentic self at that point in time with my current lens. But that's constantly evolving, and I'm constantly evolving myself. I'm constantly growing every day, and that's the evolution. And this is where you're at, is that you're learning these concepts, and it's a matter of applying them, putting them into action, applying the learnings at the end of each chapter, doing the reflection, doing the journaling, balancing your perceptions to help you grow, to help you go to the next level. And we can get stuck. So in this process of work, we can get stuck. And what's holding us back is our pride. And it's that protection of self. It's a real primitive protection of self, because we have a limited view as to our self-worth. And we're wanting to protect it because we're too scared of letting go of it and not being comfortable with who we truly are. And so we protect ourselves thinking we know everything. We get this self-righteousness, and that can stop us solving the next puzzle or bringing in the next integration of peace into making you feel more complete. And if you're at that point where you're thinking, no, Anthony's wrong, I've definitely right here, there's no doubt I'm right here and they're wrong and all that sort of stuff, then please reach out. This is an opportunity to get coached through this problem. And I've needed coaching through my problems and help. And it's just part of being held accountable, that you got to own your shit, own your stuff, all right? And love it for what it is and how it is. And sometimes you can need someone to help coach you through that. That's what I do with my clients. So if you're stuck and not being able to apply the learnings from this book, it doesn't mean that you're not ready to evolve. It just means that you're holding on, and you just need someone to help unleash you, help you expand that lens, help you break free of that limiting belief. And I can help you do that, or other people can help you do that. So it's finding the right person for you and then reaching out to them and saying, look, I'm a bit stuck here. I've got this limiting belief, this limiting view. I'm holding on to a bit of pride and self-righteousness, and I want to let go of it because I want to grow. I want a more expansive view of the universe. I want to feel more connected with everyone and everything. So that's it for this episode. I've shared a lot, and I just want you to start applying the learnings of this chapter. Maybe put the book down for a week, go out there and put it into action. If you get stuck, reach out for help, but start applying the learnings. Start the evolution now. This is just sowing the seed of what's to come. And what's to come is the most authentic version of you and the most integrated version of you, the most wholeness version of you, and nothing is missing. You're complete as you are in this present form. We just need to expand your lens so that you see it that way. Expand that lens of how you're seeing the world, and you will feel more at one until you run into the next problem, the next missing piece, and then you feel that something's missing, and then you apply the work again and integrate that piece and connect it with you. And the great thing is, as you go along this journey, you form stronger relationships and more authentic relationships. And so you feel more connected with others as well. So you're not only connecting more with self, you're connecting more with others, and you're connecting more with everything. And you feel more part of this bigger collective. And it's exciting to go on this journey. So embrace it, and start the work now. It starts with you. Get into the work, and until the next chapter, continue to evolve and be open to learning and growing and unlearning and letting go. Now, if you've really enjoyed this chapter of the book and you're listening to the podcast, please share it with others that could also benefit from this chapter. If you love what I'm sharing and the content I'm sharing, please book in and get a 50% discount of the pre-sale of the book, which is coming at the end of the year. You get 50% discount. So please go to my website, joyfulmate.com, pre-order the book and go on this journey with me. And as well as you'll be part of this community that we bond together over this material and grow together in this expansive way. So you'll form new connections. So join up, buy the pre-sales. I'll send you the connection to join the community, and you'll get additional bonus material beyond this. And you'll also join a community beyond just receiving the book at the end of the day. So buy the book, 50% discount. Go to joyfulmate.com. Really appreciate your support, and continue on your journey of expansion and growth.